we're just so small. We're just a boy band from Korea. And
Come on.
And actually,
Oh, come on. Guys, welcome back to the cover of Rolling Stone.
we're back.
100 songs, 110 songs. I've heard from you guys that there were many, many songs. How do you narrow that down? How do you decide what to focus on? How many of them are finished? What are the ones that aren't on the album? What do they like? Are the ones you miss?
어떻게 될까요? 우리 만들었던 곡은 어떻게 되나?
뭐 이제 각자가 이제 뭐 쓰거나 뭐 그러지 않을까. 근데 일단 뭐 우리 안에서 다 소진을 하겠지. 뭐 딴 데로 가기보다는.
일단 저희가 만들었던 곡들은 저희가 다 같이 모여서 듣고 회사 직원분들도 따로 다 같이 들으면서 의견 취합을 다 같이 한 것 같아요. 이 곡은 좋은 것 같다. 이 곡은 그래도 단체 앨범에 좀 결이 다른 느낌이 있지 않나 뭐 이런 식으로 의견을 내면서 한 곡 한 곡 이렇게 그 곡을 정말 다 들어봤어요. 다 같이. 예.
Does it ever become not a fight but an argument about no, I love this song, you don't love this song has to be on there? How intense does that discussion get? Because it's important what makes up an album.
사실 정해진 게 아무것도 없었어서 그런 일은 없었습니다.
우리끼리 그냥 우리끼리
엇갈렸었지.
합의해서
왜?
그냥
네,
이야기하고.
일단은
엄청 엇갈리지 않나?
엄청 엇갈렸었지.
왜?
일단은
각자
각자
하고 싶은
취향이
거
다
잡고
달라가지고 뭐가 들어가야 된다 이런 것들에
그것
대한
때문에 바디 투 바디만 엇갈렸지.
아니, One More Night도 그렇지.
녹음 직전까지도
아,
다른
그런가?
곡을 집어넣겠다고 막 회의를 몇 번 했다가 결국에 막 빠지고 나랑 남준이가 되게 좋아했던 곡이 있는데
곡 고를 때 말고 작업할 때.
곡 고를 때
그러니까 지금
말하는
곡
거.
고를 때
밴드-
말하는 거니까.
아 그래?
사운드 있던 거.
바로 문제가 생겼죠.
There were a lot of conflicts. Like, yeah, which to go and which not to go. You know, maybe like two of us, like really strongly, you know, claim that this song has to be album. If they have some logics or stuff, you know, some even the major number is gonna like, this has to be song. Then it's gonna. There were like so many conflicts. I can't even remember.
So it could have been, you could have chosen 14 different songs and we would be having a whole different discussion about what kind of album this is. Is that fair to say?
아,
맞습니다.
무조건이죠.
무조건.
Does anyone have like one song that they're still thinking about that they can't let go?
몇 개 있지 않나?
근데 이게 있어도 저희가 말을 못 해드려요.
그런 노래가 각자마다 몇 개 있었던 것 같아요. 이거 왜 안 들어갔어 아쉽다 이러면서.
This album is so strong, so good, and I feel like it's, at least in part, the answer to the question that you all posed in 2022. After Butter and Permission to Dance and Dynamite, that there was a question of who BTS was and what you would do next. But I was wondering about how everyone felt about that, hitting that moment and the sort of debate about what to do next.
뭐 정체성에 관련된 거는 뭐 사실 뭐 이번 앨범뿐만 아니라 계속해서 저희가 그런 것들을 담아왔고 앞으로도 계속해서 담아가지 않을까. 이게 또 그 나이대마다 또 그 환경마다 계속해서 이제 생각들이 바뀌다 보니 그런 것들이 이제 계속 앨범에 들어가야 그게 이제 뭐 저희가 나아갈 방향 아닌가 그렇게 생각합니다.
뭐 사실 정체성이란 거는 늘 사실 염두를 해두고 작업을 하고 있고 이번 앨범에서는 특히나 그 정체성이 더 뭔가 보여지는 그런 앨범을 다 같이 만든 것 같고요. 그리고 사실 어떤 곡이든 뭐 버터든 다이너마이트든 퍼미션 투 댄스든 그때 그 시기에 맞춰서 할 수 있는 우리들의 음악들을 하고 계속해서 보여주고 그 음악을 통해서 뭔가 다 같이 즐길 수가 있다면은 그것만으로도 굉장히 또 좋은 의미가 아닌가라는 생각도 드네요.
So I think the only consensus we had after the military was that we all are rooted in Korea, and then we came through quite a journey, if we could call it like that. And then let's start it from there, and let's get back to some point, but let's move on for some parts. So you know, it was all about like controlling and finding some point. Musically, visually, I think we're still, you know, everyone thinks different right now. So, but the Korean thing was that I think that's our identity.
I feel like there's also a push and pull in general between the rappers and the singers, and which sort of predominates. Everyone gets their shot on this album, but I feel like there's a slight rebalancing back towards the rapping, which is really very core to BTS. I wonder how conscious that was.
의도적이라기보다는 우리가 할 수 있는 선에서 뭔가 할 수 있는 것들을 많이 해보자라는 식으로 해봤기 때문에 자연스럽게 그런 뭔가 폼이 나온 것 같고, 뭐 어쨌건 그런 우리들의 어렸을 때 그런 뿌리들과 그리고 우리가 들어왔던 음악들과 이런 것들이 조금씩은 지금의 우리에게도 영향이 있지 않나라는 생각도 들고요. 네, 그냥 사실 너무 재밌게 음악하고 만들고 있어서, 네, 그리고 오랜만에 팀으로 와가지고 이렇게 하는 것도 즐겁고, 네, 그래서 더 그런 진정성이 있는 또 이번 앨범이 탄생이 된 것 같고, 오랜만에 온 만큼. 네.
I love on Hooligan. I'm obsessed with the falsetto part. Why this bass line so rude? It's so fun to hear everyone sing it. What do you remember about coming up with that part and also distributing it among the singers?
그냥 뭐 곡율 전반적으로 사실 정국이가 좀 많이 컨트롤을 했고,
훌리건.
제가 딱 세션에 도착했을 때 그 훌리건을 딱 작업을 하고 있었고, 형 들어보라고 해가지고 들었는데, 그럼 뭐 말씀해 주시는 그런 보컬 파트나 뭐 랩 파트나 너무 잘 만들어져 있는 그런 곡이었고,
그리고 노래 부를 수 있는 그러니까 그걸 완전 랩라들을 위한 약간 곡이었고 사실 보컬은 뭐 정할 필요도 없이 딱 무슨 구간이 정해져 있어가지고 네 개가
전반적으로 좀 랩도 그렇고 노래도 그렇고 좀 힘을 좀 빼려고 좀 많이 한 앨범이라
좀 밸런스가 이번에 좀 좋은 것 같아요. 이번 앨범.
Who has the highest range? Who can hit the highest falsetto?
수민 아니야?
지민이가 제일
지민이 너무 월등하게 높죠.
그래서 이번 앨범에 좀 고생 많이 했다고.
우리 팀의 영원한 약간 숙제 같은 거죠. 또 음역대가 있는 친구들이 있고 또 낮은 친구들이 있고, 이런 것들을 어떻게 조화롭게 만들어내냐가 사실 BTS 곡을 만드는 데 있어 굉장히 좀 해결을 해야 되는 부분들이 있고, 그런 것들을 잘 해결했기 때문에 또 좋은 곡들이 많이 탄생이 됐고.
저는 그래도 낮은 쪽인데 이제 많이 배웠죠. 지난 앨범들로 인해 이제 계속 배우고 나서 이제 그나마 좀 괜찮아졌는데, 그래도 아직까지는 여전히 저한테는 숙제로 남아있긴 하죠.
아유, 너무 잘합니다.
진성이 안 되니까 가성을 하는 거예요.
One of the key decisions, it seems like making this album, was to include Ararang on Body to Body. How did that become part of that song?
Hinman Bang, which is our head director, he came up with that idea, and he and his producer edited it into one song and then gave us a listen. And then first time, nah. Second time, okay, I'm getting convinced. Third time, I think this version should be like this.
Goosebumps, wow.
Yeah.
People may forget, but you have actually sung that. It's of course not on the album, but you have sung that whole song in the past.
저희가 어디서 불렀죠?
10 years ago,
파리에서
K-Con Paris.
아니 파리에서 K-Con.
그러니까
It's a haunting song, a beautiful song, 600 years old.
If you're a Korean, everyone knows the song.
Yes.
Just mouth to mouth. It's not in the textbook or from the school. Just everyone just somehow gets to know the song in Korea. And I told you before, we were not we couldn't reach a specific consensus even after the military. So, but I told you there was one thing that we all know, that we are all from rooted in Korea, and the label also talked a lot about the things what we want to do next for the 2.0. And they taught us all the histories about Howard.
Yeah.
It was in 1896.
Yeah.
Exactly 130 years ago. The funny thing is that there were 7 guys took the ship to record the first song with the Korean lyrics and Korean voice. So I think it's very, we felt like this is a kind of destiny and like a time machine, like they were sending to us maybe. So if we claim ourselves our next chapter as, like a new Arirang, then I think it could symbolize us very well, and it's gonna be really really cool.
The resonance is really cool.
Yes.
The Howard thing is amazing. Like
That was an amazing idea.
But the song "Aliens" is at least a double entendre. It's like you guys are so cool and so unique. You're like space aliens, but there's also an element you're talking about, sort of the idea of being seen as foreign when you go abroad. I think both things are happening in that song. Tell me about that metaphor and that song coming together.
형 아닌가?
그 원래는 가사가 에일리언이 아니라
Endless.
엔들레스였는데 그게 엔들레스가 이제 에일리언으로 바꿨으면 좋겠다고 아이디어를 내서 에일리언으로 바꿨죠.
남주 형이 아이디어를 내주셨잖아요.
The original theme was endless, so I was like da-da-da-da-da-da, endless, like something like that. And the song was really catchy. It sounded nice. With Mike Will made it. He's a crazy producer. He's so great. But like it's something endless. Okay, maybe we need a more sharper, edgy theme, and I don't know, like someone who came up with that idea, but endless and aliens, they sound really similar. So we changed to aliens, and I wrote the lyrics with, what if we just, we just claim ourselves as aliens to all those foreigners abroad, and to saying like, brother, please get your slides, indoors, because, I know you guys go to the hotel bed with your shoes on, and that's so dirty. And it's something, just a little like a humor and like sarcasm like that.
Which is true, by the way. It is disgusting. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, so we just, since this album is about the being proud as Korean and an Asian, we try to put some the materials that we, only have, that we are Koreans and we're from the Far East Asia.
If you're aliens, I think there's a hope that maybe you'll land your ship at the Super Bowl next year. I'm wondering how you guys feel about that. For some reason, after Bad Bunny is of course American,
It was so cool.
and it was so amazing. But I think the idea of a non-English language Super Bowl halftime show, suddenly people were thinking, well, why not BTS? So I wonder how you all feel about that.
불러주셔야 가죠 일단.
일단 너무 과분한 그런
네.
뭔가 너무
말씀 너무 감사합니다. 예.
그래서 뭐 사실 뭐 어떤 아티스트든 사실 꿈의 무대이기도 하고 슈퍼볼이라는 거, 특히나 더 그쪽 문화권에 있는 아티스트들한테도 더 되게 엄청난 무대인 거라서 사실 저희는 저희 할 것들을 일단은 열심히 하고 거기에 맞게끔 주어진 대로 뭔가들을 많이 앞으로 헤쳐나가지 않을까라는 생각이 들어요. 예.
무대를 봤는데 되게 멋있는 무대더라고요. 그래서 상상을 하긴 해요. 우리는 퍼포먼스가 꽤 많은 그룹인데 만약에 우리가 한다면 저기서 우리는 어떤 무대를 할 수 있을까라고 상상을 하는데, 그거는 이제 저희를 불러주셨을 때의 영역이니까 뭐 언젠가 기회가 된다면 또 기회를 한번 노려보도록 하겠습니다.
And Jungkook, you grimaced when I said Super Bowl.
하고는 싶은데 뭐 불러주자 할 수 있는 거니까.
Jungkook was almost there because, Usher invited him before the military.
Oh.
But yeah, it didn't work out because he went to military. So, it's like officially, unofficially, I think it's the best event and show stage, in the whole world. And Bad Bunny, he was amazing, and I know he's from Puerto Rico, and he's also an American. So I think there was kind of context between all of that and the flow of the everything. But yeah, we always like thought of like, what if we, like do some parts in the Super Bowl? Maybe we could like collaborate with other artists like the Coldplay and like Bruno Mars did, and like Lady Gaga did with this time with Bad Bunny. Maybe if the time goes by and the thoughts in the people get to change, all of the people in the world are watching like Parasite, all those great things like Korean culture. So, if there's a chance, then definitely want to someday.
I wanted to ask what you all thought the first time you heard the lyrics to Jungkook's great song Seven, the explicit version. Since he's the youngest of the band, if you were shocked or amused, or if you gave him shit on text or what?
다 컸다.
거기 어떤 가사가 있어?
그냥 뭐
일주일 내내
Tuesday.
널 사랑할 거야?
뭐지? Love you 뭐지?
Love
Love you.
원래는 여기인데 이제 샥한 버전이 이제 Love You고.
fuck 아니었어? 그게?
그러니까 그건 역 버전.
그게
그러니까 Love
배경 버전.
you나 이 뭐지?
맞아요.
그러니까 뭐야 가사가 정확하게 기억이 안 나서.
Love you on a 7 days a week.
So it was F word before love, and a label wanted to change it to love. It was originally F word, but I told the label, please don't change. Like, why not? He's all grown up. He can sing. He can sing an F word.
Love you on a 7 You right이다.
그러니까.
Were you at all shy to have them all hear that?
제일 안 부끄러웠을 것 같아.
부끄러운 건 없었고요. 뭐 어때? 이런 느낌이었어요.
When on 2.0, you talk about trying to leapfrog, and basically you're addressing theoretical competitors, people trying to keep up with you. But it's weird because you don't. I was trying to think who those competitors will be. That you're in your own category.
뭐 그렇다기보다는 결국 우리의 경쟁 상대는 우리라고 생각이 들어서 우리의 다음 스텝은 무엇인가, 그러니까 우리의 그 전의 모습을 어떻게 깰 것인가를 저는 좀 생각을 했었던 것 같아요. 그래서 사실 조금 더 여유롭고 뭔가 좀 그냥 좀 가볍게 하는데 멋이 있는 그런 것들을 좀 추구하려고 많이 노력을 했고, 그런 식으로 또 작업도 했고, 2.0라는 곡이 또 굉장히 또 재밌게 나오지 않았나. 그리고 또 퍼포먼스도 또 그동안 해왔던 그런 BTS의 모습과는 달리 또 다른 여유 있는 모습을 또 보여주고 있는 것 같아서 거기에 맞게끔 또 잘 나온 것 같고. 네.
그 맨 처음 곡 작업을 할 때 키워드를
잠깐만. 콧물 나왔네.
여기 이렇게 나와 있었어요.
땡큐. 일단은 2.0가 왜 웃지? 일단 2.0가 호비 형이 일단은 아이디어를 만들어줬어요. 이제 2.0라는 키워드 어때를 호비 형이 던지고 나서 그거 좋은데 해서 이제 2.0라는 그런 주제로 이렇게
애초에 세션에 이렇게 있었는데
그쵸.
B, J-Hope, 정국 있었는데 그때는 이제 사실
정국이 자고 있을 거야.
세션이다 보니까
나 진짜 너무 졸렸어. 아니 그게 비트만 들으면은 진짜 와 진짜 죽을 맛이었어.
근데 그만큼 되게 칠하게 나온 것 같아. 나는 그 기분을 담아서
네, 되게
여유롭게
재밌었어요.
나온 것 같아.
마늘방에서 계속 나오는데 스네어가 땅땅땅땅땅땅땅.
그쵸. 계속 그것만 했었어.
Suga, so many cool producers on this album, and I know you're a producer yourself. And I'm curious, some moments where maybe you learned something from from a Kevin Parker, or things that may have, or maybe where they learned from you, because that's very possible too.
확실히 좀 이 작업 방식이 워낙 이제 뭐 미국 친구들이 워낙 좀 자유롭고 또 워낙 잘하다 보니까 저도 뭐 엄청 많이 배웠고 또 그 친구들이 음악에 접근하는 방식도 되게 좀 새로웠고, 그래서 되게 엄청 재밌게 작업을 많이 한 것 같아요.
Fire is such an incredible song, but I think that's the one where where there's a mention of both Michael Jackson and Britney Spears, and I was wondering if some of you might want to talk about their impact.
So I mean, they are, they're just truly icons, and Fire's just started from the word fire because it was the most used words out of the whole session. Like when somebody likes a beat or a word or an outfit, then it's like, that's fire, that's fire, that's fire. It's like 100 times a day. We hear it like every day, and then everybody started to use the word.
So you're almost making fun of the American producers by saying, but because they keep saying it, right?
Yo, that's fire, bro. That's fire, man. It's like So we're trying to copy them, like, yo, that's fire too, you know? So I just like used that word into a song. It just perfectly matched the beat. And then I just hope it could be like a nuts song, like just mosh pit. Everyone just could just jump and just doing the mosh pit thing. And then why we use the Britney and Michael Jackson is because they are truly icons and nobody just, doesn't know them. That's all. Yeah.
2.0 was almost addressed at yourselves, you said. But I mean, if I think of any competition for you, I think of, Taylor Swift, Harry Styles, Bruno Mars. If there's any competition, that's who it is.
They're greater artists than us. We're just so small. We're just a boy band from Korea. And
Come on.
And actually,
Oh, come on.
Actually, 2.0 is, it's about a lot of things. I also thought about haters. Just like, there are still, I think there are really people who just pray with a bottle of water in their home and then just please, BTS, just go fall down. Just please, BTS, just break apart and collapse. I think there are people, something like that. And just we're thinking about, it's like, okay, guys, for 2-3 years, we have been apart, like, to all the military, and 3 years passed, and people are still, there are armies like waiting for us, the world is waiting for us. So you guys had your little fun, and then knock, knock, and pew, pew, and bye. That's it.
BTS, collectively, thanks so much for joining me. And again, welcome back to the cover of Rolling Stone.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you.